Hi everyone, welcome back to Gastronomy Games. Today we are continuing our celebration of summer flavors with this bright, refreshing, and easy quinoa salad served with grapefruit, orange, arugula, and an avocado and citrus vinaigrette. This dish can easily be made vegan and is sure to please vegetarians and meat lovers alike. So without any further ado, let's get to the kitchen. We are going to start with what is called a supreme cut on our orange and grapefruit. This cut allows us to just get the citrus segment without any membrane. We're going to start by taking the top and bottom off our orange with our knife before following its natural curve, trying to take off as much of the white pith of the orange as possible. Use the already peeled strips on the orange to guide your knife on how deep and at what angle to cut the orange skin off. You want to start with your knife tip facing slightly outward and then to straight, and then end with it slightly pointed towards you, using quick short strokes to make sure you cleanly cut off every bit of the pith. After you've gone all the way around, cut off any white pith you missed on the first go round, then using your chef knife or a paring knife, cut straight down on one side of a segment and then cut diagonally on the opposite side of that segment to release it. Here it is a little bit more up close. The goal is to only remove the flesh of the citrus, but if you get a little bit of the membrane in there, don't worry, this definitely takes some practice and is one of the harder basic cuts that you can learn. We're going to keep going all the way around the orange until all the segments are removed, and then do the same with 2 other oranges and 2 grapefruits. Save what remains of the citrus. We're going to use its juice later for our vinaigrette, and even though there is no flesh left, there is still a lot of good juice attached to those membranes. After we finish with our citrus, we're going to toast our walnuts in a 350-degree oven till they're lightly golden. This will take roughly 10 minutes. I almost always buy my nuts in pieces because they're cheaper, take less processing, and pick up more toasted flavor. Next, we're going to rinse our quinoa, agitating it slightly until the water runs clear. This is done to remove the bitter outer coating on quinoa called saponin, allowing the nutty natural flavor of the quinoa to come through. This only takes about 2 minutes of rinsing. With our quinoa rinsed, we're ready to cook it. We're going to start by heating a small saucepan over medium-low heat. Add in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Once it begins to shimmer, add in 1 minced shallot and 2 minced garlic cloves. We're then going to add in a pinch of salt, because we don't want to add any color to our onions and garlic, and the water the salt draws out will keep it from browning. As we've talked about before on this channel, if you want no color on your vegetables, add salt. If you want color on them, do not add salt until the end. We don't want to muddle the delicate flavor of the quinoa, and sweating the onions and garlic will provide a sweeter, more subtle flavor. Then we're going to add in our rinsed quinoa, turning up the heat to medium-high and toasting it for about a minute, just until we can smell some nuttiness coming from the pot. It'll have a toasted, slightly sweet aroma, almost similar to popcorn. This will cut down the cook time slightly, but is done more for flavor. Then we're going to add in 2 bay leaves and 2 cups of vegetable stock before bringing it to a boil, and then reducing the heat to low, covering and continuing to cook until the stock is cooked off. This will take about 15 minutes. Before we cover our quinoa, we want to add in 1 more big pinch of salt. We don't want our quinoa to be over-salted or taste salty, because we are going to be adding more salt and our vinaigrette at the end. However, salt does bring out flavor compounds in food, so we definitely want the full flavor spectrum that our quinoa has to offer. We are using vegetable stock as our cooking liquid today, but you can use any liquid of your choice. It'll just always be a 2 parts liquid to 1 part quinoa. Next up is our vinaigrette. In a blender, we're going to add an avocado, the zest of 2 limes, the juice of 3 limes, 1 sliced shallot, the stems from 1 bunch of cilantro, 2.5 tablespoons of honey, 1/4 cup reserved grapefruit and orange juice from the saved scraps, then slowly drizzle in 1/3 cup of olive oil into the blender as it blends. Honey is a natural emulsifier, so the vegan version of this recipe may split more easily, but can be simply shaken back together. If stored properly, this vinaigrette will last about a week in the fridge. Now all that's left is assembling our salad. We are mixing our quinoa with walnuts, seeded cucumber, seeded tomato, and mint before we dress and salt it. As with all salads, wait until you're ready to serve before you mix your ingredients together and add your vinaigrette to your salad. This is especially the case with this salad because not only is it served over dressed arugula, which will wilt, the quinoa itself will start to drink up the dressing and it'll start to lose flavor. On the off chance, if your meal gets delayed and you already dressed your salad and need to bring it back to life, add a little bit of undressed arugula to your dressed arugula to bring back some of that crispness. And in your quinoa, you can either add more dressing or you can add a little bit of fresh lime juice to bring some of that freshness back to life. As with all of our recipes, this is meant to be used merely as a template. Feel free to play around with what you add to your salad. For a more Caribbean twist, replace the cucumbers with bell pepper and mango. For a bit more crunch, top with tortilla strips. The purpose of all these recipes is to empower you to cook the way you would like. This recipe is also a great showcase of plating basics, which we will briefly touch on now. The first tip is to use negative space to your advantage. You want some of your plate still showing, because otherwise your plated dish might look a little bit cluttered and messy. The second tip is to use your garnishes in odd intervals, not even. These always look more pleasing to the eye. The third tip is to try wrapping garnishes around the outside of your plate, in this instance our citrus segments. This will draw the eye to the center of the plate, which is our centerpiece, which is our salad. Finally, don't be afraid to use cheap molds. We're using a ramekin to plate our quinoa. Just pack it in and the vinaigrette will help it slide right out, which makes it look much, much neater than if we used a spoon. I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please like and subscribe for more cooking videos and tips, and I can't wait to cook with you all again soon.